getting cooler on. This apart is for relief. Repairs, you don't even have to ask to be the cat in the sun. Someday I will see the whole deal through today.
Me too, we should go one.
I've got better things to do. Okay, to leave a little bit undone and be the cat in the sun.
That's so strong.
And there is a little
Set aside
it will be start hearing.
Airbnb
So when it is like that,
loosen up on the grind. I like this.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. Where's the bathroom?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.